and also about Tavistock Arts.
I started Tavistock Arts about 18 months ago. The idea basically was to try to get into theatre production, to try to do some shows of our own.
Yeah.
And the family's always been interested in theatre, so I got great backing from the family.
Very good.
And plenty of friends and friends of friends, and before we knew it, there were a lot of people involved.
Yeah, and it's going from strength to strength, it seems.
It's going very well. I'm currently working, believe it or not, in 3 shows at the same time, which is probably a bit mental. But
now that is a bit mental, I have to say.
I don't propose to be doing it too many times down the road, I have to admit.
Okay, kind of like it's something you try once just to see how it'll get on, and maybe not again.
Absolutely. Well, not everything you do will be a resounding success. That's been my experience.
Okay, so you've put 3 ideas into the pot, but the one that I've actually asked you to come and tell us a little bit about is the one that's coming to the Liffey Studio in Newbridge, which sounds like it's going to be fantastic. People may be familiar with the story by Charles Dickens, but maybe you'll tell us a little bit about the Signalman, a Victorian ghost story.
Well, what happened with the Signalman was it was a short story that Dickens wrote, and he wrote it not long after he was involved in a terrible train accident himself.
Yeah.
He had just come back from France, and he was on what they call the tidal train, which came in from Kent and made its way into London. And apparently what had happened was, as the train was working its way towards London, several people were taking tracks up and repairing them because they had the wrong timetable. And they weren't expecting to see a train. Somebody turned around, saw this train barreling down at them. 40 feet of track were missing, and the train literally jumped over a viaduct. And most of the carriages fell into the river, and most of the people, unfortunately, were drowned. And the one carriage that managed to sort of hang on to the main part of the train and was dangling over the viaduct was the one that Dickens was in. And he was widely praised at the time for his bravery and his aid to the injured and the ill. And he certainly made quite an impression on people. But after he got home, and I guess the whole impact of what had happened sort of visited upon itself, he became very, very ill. And for years afterwards, he wouldn't go into trains unless it was the last resort. And he was never the same again. His health was very bad, and in fact, he died a few years later.
So it really did haunt him?
It certainly did haunt him. And I have a theory myself that this ghost story, which he wrote about 8 months after, he started writing it certainly 8 months after the accident, may have been designed to help him exorcise those ghosts, or an attempt to do so.
I was reading that there, and it sounds like a very interesting and possibly a correct theory, because people do find ways to get over trauma, and maybe that's it. But you're going to be bringing it to the stage. I'm very interested to hear about this. So you have a good few actors involved, and tell us maybe a little bit about the process of bringing this to life. You yourself have done the adaptations for stage.
Well, the first thing to do was to take the story and see how it could be adapted to stage. And I have to say, in that respect, I was lucky in a sense in that Dickens, he's a highly theatrical writer, and his work really lends itself very well to stage. In fact, in his own life, he was much more interested in the theatre than he was in novels.
Okay.
And he did write a few plays, but rather unlike the great success he had with his novels, his plays were frankly awful, and it was probably just as well that he stuck to the novels. But it's very theatrical, so it wasn't difficult to adapt. And then it was a question of trying it out. And Mick Keogh and Niall Moore, who are 2 local guys from Newbridge, they're playing the 2 principal roles. And really with workshopping with the 2 fellows, I was able to, tighten up the writing and make some changes. Because sometimes what's down on the page doesn't work that well on the stage, and you have to really be prepared to revise.
I suppose you have to be able to see it as it's coming to life in front of you, and then make some tweaks here and there as you go along.
Exactly, yeah. And we've done a lot of that. I must admit, I changed the draft numerous times. But what we have now is not a million miles away from where we started it, but we hope that it'll be something which portrays the mystery of the story. It
sounds like a great story, and maybe something for people to head along to and get almost lost in it a bit.
Oh, I hope so. I think it'll be a very entertaining show. And for the evening show, we've also included a number of rehearsed readings and performed readings from the main Dickens canon. So you'll have favourite characters like Scrooge and Micawber, Miss Havisham, Bill Sykes, and Uriah Heep. So I would hope that'll be a lot of fun for the audience as well.
Well, you're giving a lot really to the audience there. You're giving them an awful lot of information to go away with, and really it sounds like a wonderful night. So it begins, the evening performance begins on the 27th. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And you have a matinee the 28th and the 29th at 1 o'clock.
That's right. Yeah.
So if people want to head along, they can probably get in contact with the Liffey Studio.
They can.
And email as well. It says info@crookedhouse.ie.
That's right. And even turn up on the night, because I'm sure we'll not send anybody away.
You'll fit them in somewhere. You'll do your best to accommodate. Well, it sounds like a great night out, and I'll be interested. Hopefully I'll get to pop along myself. And keep in contact with us here at KFM when you have some upcoming events in the future.
We certainly will, Celine, and thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity.
Artyfacts on Kildare's KFM.